What do you say to Elon Musk who just called your bill a disgusting abomination?
Yeah, let me say this. It's very disappointing. Okay, I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work.
Cue the trumpets, troops. Brace yourselves. Because once again, Donald J. Trump has emerged from the golden toilets of Mar-a-Lago with, how are we going to call this? Something that he's calling, wait for it, drum roll, bad drums, the big, beautiful bill. Congress has gone crazy.
How mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
Yeah, let me say this. It's very disappointing. Okay, I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work. With all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big, beautiful bill.
So what did Elon say about it? He said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Tell us how you really feel.
Leaves the White House and then pulls the pin on the grenade.
Yeah,
Whew,
brutal.
Yes, that's the actual title. It's not a parody. It's not a joke. It's not something like a rejected drag race challenge. No, this is his serious legislative proposal. Named like a stripper from a 2003 Florida county flair. You see, when normal presidents release bills, I think they use words like infrastructure, security, or reform. Trump, however, well, he's just workshopping titles like a failed Apprentice spin-off. What's next, you ask? The bigly budget bagger. The super clean border wall. Make Ukes Great Again Act. Gonna work on the impression.
I rise today to address the House about a clause that is in the One Big Beautiful Bill. This clause would take away state rights to make laws or regulate AI for 10 years. I think federalism is something that we must always protect, and I warn against the dangers of protecting a tech industry where we have no idea the future of what this industry will hold. AI is rapidly developing. AI has developed quickly over the past few years. Imagine what it will be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. When we look to the future, we cannot take away states' rights to regulate or make laws to protect the people in their state or to regulate businesses that operate in their state. That would be destroying the very foundation of this country, which is federalism. We must always limit federal power and protect state power. Now, the pushback and the reasons that I've been told about this is that American tech and AI companies must be able to compete with China. Well, American and tech and AI companies can compete with China, and they should compete with China. However, we don't destroy federalism in order to allow them to do that. That would be a fool's errand. Here's how this can work. Governors and state legislatures can make their states friendly for tech companies in AI, bringing these companies in by making it easy for these companies to operate in their states. That's how it's been done for every single innovation, industry, manufacturing, and all companies across America. You don't destroy federalism for one industry, you protect it and allow states to compete to bring those companies into their states. That's the right way to handle this going forward. Here's a lesson for us all. No matter what political party holds office and is in charge, we should all watch carefully the bills that we pass, and we should be mindful about protecting not only state rights, but the rights of the American people, and look to the future. When I was a freshman member of Congress in 2021, I was told that we would be at war with China within 5 years. Well, here we are approaching 5 years later. I don't think America should have to go to war with China. we can beat China economically. Ask yourself, why do we send our food to be processed over in China? Why do we rely on China to produce our critical supply chain like medicines? So why would we depend on this country for the American people's supplies? And why would we go to war with them when we can be innovative right here at home in America, producing critical chain supplies, medicines, processing our own food? A war is nothing we should ever strive for or look for or prepare to have to engage in. We should conduct ourselves here at home in a way where we don't have to go to war. We don't have to depend on foreign countries. And we never destroy federalism for the future of an industry that we have no idea what it will do. With this warning, I urge all of my colleagues that when the House gets to vote on the one big beautiful bill again after it leaves the Senate, that we make sure we protect federalism and at the same time urge our colleagues in the Senate to pull this clause out of the one big beautiful bill. This bill should be about tax policy, protecting Americans to not have to have a tax increase of over $4.7 trillion. It should be about America First Energy and Americans' border security, not about allowing AI to run rampant and destroying federalism in the process. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the remaining of my time.
How about America's Next Top Big League Tax Break, sponsored by the letter Q and the ghost of Steve Bannon's last shower. Let's be clear, all right? This isn't a PowerPoint. This isn't a bill. It is like the worst AI concluded together, wrapped up in Trump's ego, playing legislative Mad Libs with crayons, while Stephen Miller hisses from the shadows like a rejected Hogwarts rat.
Because when Scott Bessent took the job, he said his #1 focus was the fiscal cliff. He was panicked over debt and deficits. He thought Joe Biden was public enemy #1 for ballooning our deficit. And here we are with Trump's big, beautiful bill, potentially adding $3.8 trillion. Bharat, what's your take?
Well, it's the same old story. You know, during Trump's first term, in just 4 years, they added $8 trillion to the debt. That was a quarter of the debt that the United States has accumulated in its entire history. And the thing that is most galling about this, from my perspective, is that what are we doing this for? We're not in the middle of a financial crisis where we need to bail out the economy. We're not in the middle of COVID where we need to borrow $4 trillion to make sure that the economy doesn't fall off a cliff. There's a 4.2% unemployment rate and inflation is coming down towards the target. There's no basis, there's no reason for doing all of this. And in fact, the bill that you're talking about not only adds $4 trillion in debt, it kicks 13 million people off of their health insurance. It repeals clean energy tax credits, which will make America less energy independent. It doesn't cause any economic growth, according to a wide variety of analysts, including right-leaning analysts. So what is this all for? All this debt, all this risk we're adding to the economy, it's mostly to give tax cuts to the very wealthy. In fact, the top 0.1%, the top 1/10 of 1%, get an average annual tax cut of $450,000. So when people are wondering where did their money go and why are we getting all this debt, that's where it went.
Back today. I talked to President Trump, all the time, multiple times a day. Obviously, we've talked about this. As you know, he's not delighted that Elon did a 180 on that. But look, I don't know what happened in 24 hours. Everybody can draw their own conclusions about that. Okay, but I look forward to talking to my friend about it again, and I'm not upset about it. All right? Yeah, Olivia.
You mentioned that you talked to Elon on Monday. You made this 180. What do you think changed? Why do you think he's coming out against this now? And have you spoken to the president and Elon since the infamous tweet?
Well, I'll tell you, I called Elon last night and he didn't answer, but I hope to talk to him today. I mean, it's not, it's very friendly, and we've laughed about our differences on policy before. All right? Yeah. Olivia. Manu brought up EV mandates, not me, okay? and I said that everybody can draw their own conclusions about that. Look, I don't subscribe motive to anybody. I try not to do that. It's a good way to live. I just believe that we got to do the right thing by way of policy, and I hope everybody understands They may not think the bill is perfect in some respect. I mean, a bill that's 1,100 pages long and covers every area of policy and the budget that ours does. Very few people are going to say that's a perfect piece of legislation. But I hope everybody will evaluate that in both parties.
What do you say to Elon Musk, who just called your bill a disgusting abomination?
Yeah, let me say this. It's very disappointing. Okay, I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work. We've applauded all the work they've done with DOGE and identifying fraud, waste, and abuse in the government. It's a very important service that's been performed, and we're so excited about it. We're now in the process of codifying that. As you all know, the administration has qualified and quantified the fraud, waste, and abuse that they found in DOGE. They're sending it to us to codify, and that's what we'll be doing with the rescissions package and the appropriations process. And so that's something we're very excited about. But with all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill. We had a long conversation yesterday. He and I spoke for, I think, more than 20 minutes on the telephone, and I extolled all the virtues of the bill, and he seemed to understand that. We had a very friendly conversation about it, and I told him that we're achieving not only all of our priorities, all the promises we made on the campaign trail, all the America First agenda wrapped into this legislation. We're also achieving, the top line on this is two very important things. We're making permanent a massive tax cut, and we are making a massive reduction in spending. $1.6 trillion is the calculation. I've said this many times. I'll be saying it until we get this thing over the line. This is the most amount of money that any government has ever saved on planet Earth in a piece of legislation, ever. It's a very important first start. Elon is missing it, okay? And it's not personal. I know that the EV mandate, very important to him, that is going away because the government should not be subsidizing these things as part of the Green New Deal. And I know that has an effect on his business, and I lament that. We talked about the ramp down period on that and how that should be duly considered by Congress. But for him to come out and pan the whole bill is to me just very disappointing, very surprising in light of the conversation I had with him yesterday.
Do you think it's Tesla is what's driving this? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm going to let others draw their own conclusions about that, but this is not personal between any of us. I just deeply regret that he's made this mistake.
To the national debt, Republicans have always increased the national debt. That is the only thing they've ever done with the national debt. And Democratic administrations have always reduced the deficits that have been run up by reckless Republican presidents and Republican Congresses. That is the budgetary cycle we've been in since the 1980s. Republican presidents increase the deficits. Democratic presidents from Bill Clinton forward come into office and reduce the deficits created by the Republican presidents. And then when Republican presidents get another chance, they run up the deficits again, and they always do it exactly the same way, with massive tax cuts for the rich. And that is now an old story that Elon Musk learned today. Elon Musk, the person who Donald Trump calls both a genius and a boy, just learned that today. He just learned today who runs up the national debt, who increases the budget deficit every single time a Republican president is in the White House. That is exactly what happens. And every single time a Democratic president is in the White House, those budget deficits come down. Bill Clinton got it down to a balanced budget by the year 2000. And George W. Bush then immediately raised the national debt by $1 trillion tax cut to the already massively wealthy. The Republicans are going to massively increase the budget deficit and increase the national debt again.
I'm not bothered by it. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not bothered by it.
I'm still waiting for in the whole thing you said. I'm waiting for you to say this is against the law, and he's done that. You can't say that because nothing that you're alleging is actually against the law.
Nothing the president can do is against the law because the Supreme Court has ruled that.
And what are the reasons
the president is not breaking any laws, and no one is making that allegation because you have no evidence.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. Hunter Biden making money off of his father being vice president, illegal. Donald Trump Jr. making money off his father being president, perfectly legal.
Using his influence to influence American policy to profit in his family is illegal. Having an investment prior to office, and
so
now
Hunter
reaping the benefits of an investment is not a crime.
Hunter Biden using his influence with his father to influence U.S. policy is illegal. Don Jr. using his influence with his father to influence U.S. policy around crypto, perfectly legal.
Which policy?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb.
Crypto policy. You don't think that he's influenced crypto policy?
Tell me.
He's on TV talking about it.
Well, I'm
He's
going to
saying
go out
crypto's
on
great, which is
Joe.
the stock market's good.
But I will go out on a limb here, Abby.
I'm just asking you, if you're willing to say that about one person, why can't you say it about the other?
Because there's a clear link between the president's actions, the vice president at the time's actions, and Hunter Biden profiting. That's a crime. That's a quid pro quo. I'm waiting for the quid pro quo in your allegation of President Trump. I don't see it.
I'm not seeing I'm not seeing how you make a distinction between, Hunter Biden's actions and things that he benefits from, and Don Jr. and Eric Trump's, or whatever it is, their actions out in the world. And the things that benefit both the president and them and influence U.S. policy. How do you make that distinction? It doesn't exist.
Hunter Biden invests in a commodity, stock, bond, crypto, and just reap the benefits of that investment, then that's fine. Instead, he used his father's office to actually influence U.S. policy.
Okay, so Don Jr., let's just be clear about what's happening here. Right. Don Jr. and the Trump family, they created a meme coin. They're benefiting off it, profiting off of it. Yeah. They are then putting the president of the United States in a room with those investors who are foreigners, and then you're saying that's perfectly legal.
So let me go out on a limb.
All right, I just want to be clear about that. Because I want to be clear about that, because we could also be intellectually honest and consistent about it.
Because I think Democrats are now jumping on.
Harriet Tubman. Talk about warrior ethos.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm a big gun person.
I mean,
I love my guns.
What are we doing here? Is the idea just that if you are a woman, if you are a person of color in American history, you don't get remembered or recorded on a ship, but if you are a Confederate traitor to this country, you do. I mean, Donald Trump, back in 2017, said it was sad to see the history and culture of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments. You can't change history, but you can learn from it. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. I mean, that's worth defending, but not Harriet Tubman, Thurgood Marshall, Medgar Evers.
Thank you, J.D. Vance. Thank you for everything you do.
A mess. The content of this big bill, it's everything you'd expect from a man whose diet consists, I don't know, of Fox News headlines and regurgitated crap that Elon pushes out on his X or Twitter or whatever.
This bill is the most historic piece of legislation to ever move through Congress in modern history. Not only does it save nearly $2 trillion, but it also delivers on the president's key priorities. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime for our law enforcement officers and all those who are putting in extra hours to make ends meet for their families. It also ends taxes effectively on Social Security for our seniors who are dependent on that Social Security income. It also has historic investments in border security, historic funding for the Golden Dome and our national security, and so many other incredible things are packed into this bill. So now it is before the Senate. Those discussions are ongoing, but the president is not going to back down from those key priorities that he promised the American public, and they are expecting Capitol Hill to help him deliver. We made the bill through the House. We need to get it through the Senate, back to the president's desk here at the White House as soon as possible.
This will be the first time conservative Republicans have actually voted for a debt ceiling, and it will be the largest increase in our debt ceiling in our history. And I think it's a mistake, because once conservative Republicans vote for this, there is no conservative opposition. They will own it. The debt will be owned by the Republicans. It's no more pointing fingers at the Democrats and saying, oh, they're the big spenders. It'll be all on Republicans' shoulders, and I'm not going to be one of the Republicans who's going to be responsible for this debt. I'm going to continue to be a voice saying we need to cut spending.
President Trump has suggested that the debt is not really top of mind of his concerns. He wants Republicans to fall in line. He wants Republicans to pass the bill. You told CNN, quote, somebody's got to be the dad that says, I know y'all want to go to Disney World, but we can't afford it. I guess I'm going to be that guy, unquote. So how determined are you to be that guy if it actually means telling President Trump you are going to vote against the bill, and you're going to try to get other Republican senators to join you unless there are major, major changes.
Well, in 2010, I sprang on the Tea Party movement, and as I did parades, I would shout, "This is a fight for freedom. We are mortgaging our children's future. It's wrong. It's immoral. It has to stop." I haven't changed. My campaign promise in 2010 and every campaign after that was to stop mortgaging our children's future. It's immoral. It's wrong. It has to stop. And so he may not be worried about that. I am extremely worried about that. That is my primary goal running for Congress. This is our moment. We've witnessed an unprecedented level of increased spending, 58% since 2019, other than World War II. This is our only chance to reset that to a reasonable pre-pandemic level of spending. And again, I think you can do it, and the spending that we would eliminate, people wouldn't even notice. But you have to do the work, which takes time.
Musk lies. He wants tougher borders, even though the only wall I think is ever completed is the emotional one between him and Melania. Don't think there's any hot tour going on there. He promises tax cuts unless you're poor, middle class, or not named Trump Jr. In which case, congratulations. Your taxes are going to Cancun with Ted Cruz. Sorry, old joke. A bit like Ted Cruz. Is he still around? And let's not ignore how he unveiled it, like a game show host on bath salts, standing next to cardboard cutouts of patriots. One hand on a Sharpie, the other on a bucket of McChicken, I think. He pitched it like it was a lost episode of Shark Tank, because it's all a reality show with him. It's the biggest, boldest, most beautiful bill. No one's ever seen a bill like this. It's got words, paragraphs, even a table of contents. Obama's bills didn't even have numbers. What a mess.
If it doesn't get approved, you'll have a 68% tax increase. You're going to go up 68%. That's a number that nobody's ever heard of before.
To be very clear, this is not a big, beautiful bill. It's a big, beautiful betrayal of the middle class and working people in this country. It's a betrayal of seniors in nursing homes, where half of those in assisted living rely on Medicaid. It's a betrayal of families struggling to put food on the table, and it's a betrayal of the middle class.
You slipped in two clauses in the big, beautiful bill. One is to allow Trump to void elections that he feels he can, and the other one was to avoid contempt of court judgments. Why were those put in there?
Well, I think that kind of follows up on what Randy said. Our whole point is to make sure we don't have activist judges who are holding back no matter who is executed on that agenda.
Meanwhile, the GOP is pretending to read it, flipping through like it's, I don't know, you get those IKEA instructions written in Russian or something, not in like, "Yes, Mr. President." I mean, Speaker Johnson, it was embarrassing. Just like a nodding puppet as Trump turned up at the Capitol Rotunda. But what does the bill actually do? That's the question. Well, it defunds common sense, deregulates logic, and provides emergency funding for Donald's legal bills disguised as patriotic national security. It's basically a GoFundMe with Elon Musk's funds. Where is Elon these days? Is that enough? Don't you? Let's be honest, the big beautiful bill is just another reality show reboot. Is Trump trying to pitch season 3, capital calamity, and every act of government? It's another episode. The only thing this time, I think the states are actual democracy. It's a mess. It is an absolute mess. What is going on? Because at this point, calling it governments is like, I don't know, remember Tiger King? Was that a nature documentary? This is chaos cosplayed as policy.
Does remarkable work in the tax space and building off the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that created the best economy in my lifetime. Making permanent a number of those provisions was important. And the last point is, remember, if we do nothing, Andrew, we'll have $4.5 trillion of tax increases at the end of this year.
Democrats will tell you it's going to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and take away your health care. They're lying. and nothing can be further from the truth.
We are not going to be touching Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
I also will stand with President Trump in opposing gutting Medicaid. My position on this has not and it will not change.
Siscomani says he supports both programs, writing a letter to Republican leadership saying he will not vote for any legislation that lowers Medicaid coverage.
Let me tell you again, as a nurse practitioner and a person who understands and cares about health care, I can reassure you that healthcare, that Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security are not places where we're looking to cut services.
A budget bill that does not protect vital Medicaid services and address the cap on state and local tax or SALT, these deductions, if they are not there, it will not receive my vote.
Would you vote to have that potential of those benefits being taken away?
No, I mean, obviously my goal is to not do anything that damages Medicaid.
Every single one of those Republicans just voted to damage and dramatically cut Medicaid. Every single one.
It's a tantrum in legislative form. Just a mess. M-E-S-S. And Ivanka Trump is just thinking, no!
The Congressional Budget Office has a contrived view of what the current law, current policy baseline is. And as a result, they assume that spending is eternal and that tax reliefs with artificial sunsets are meant to actually occur, even though in the real world, even under Democratic administration, some version of tax relief would be extended. And so this has historic tax relief, but much of it is the extension of the president's incredible reforms to the tax code in 2017. And this bill, when you have an accurate baseline, an accurate view of the world, that everyone would understand if they got inside our kind of accounting shoes, they would know that this is a $1.6 trillion in mandatory savings.
Right. Here's the pitch. Mr. Trump, let's rename it to something more accurate, shall we? How about the Patriotic Act 2 Electric Boogaloo? 280s? Deal or no democracy? Keep it up with the Caucasians. Or, I think my favourite, America's got indictments. So if I'm sounding a bit sarcastic, because one thing's clear, I don't think this is a bill. It's a bloated press release wrapped in narcissism and sold like it's, I don't know, 2 for $1 at a MAGA merch table. And they're debating this non-stop in Congress? Wow! Unbelievable. They managed to legislate, they might as well legislate Trump's tan and uneven and artificial stuff that he spreads all over the place. In the long run, the only people I can see who are winning are, well, people who have laughed at the administration. But to jokes pay bills.